It began with whispers. Once a place of learning, now a husk of broken windows and shattered dreams. The wind howled through the empty hallways, carrying with it the whispers of a tragic past. The town had long abandoned the school, its presence a chilling reminder of a mystery never solved. It stood on a hill overlooking the town, a tombstone of brick and mortar. The paint peeled, a sickly yellow in the dying light. Vines, like grasping claws, stretched across its face. This was a place where darkness lingered. Locals told stories, their voices hushed, their eyes wide. They spoke of strange noises at night, of shadows moving in the windows. Some claimed to see lights flickering inside, as if someone or something was trapped within. But the bravest wouldn't dare approach. Not after what happened. Not after Jason Avery disappeared. The air itself felt heavy, burdened with unspoken secrets. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the creak of a rusty swing set in the wind. Even the sun seemed hesitant to touch this place, its rays struggling to pierce the oppressive gloom. It was a place where fear was a tangible thing, a presence that clung to the air like cobwebs, a place where the past refused to die. Jason Avery was a bright student, popular with a promising future. Then, one cold December night, he vanished. During detention. Without a trace, the mystery gripped Crestwood, a town too small for such shadows. Searches yielded nothing. Jason Avery was simply gone. Rumors began to swirl. Some whispered of a secret society within the school, their rituals turning dark. Others spoke of a hidden room, a place where unspeakable acts were committed. The police investigated, but every lead ran cold. The case grew cold, but the fear remained. Years passed. The whispers continued. Jason Avery became an urban legend, his name spoken with a shiver. Some said his spirit haunted the halls, searching for answers he could never find. Others claimed the school itself was cursed, forever marked by the tragedy. The truth, however, remained buried within the decaying walls of Crestwood High, waiting. A chilling tale, passed down through generations, a warning whispered on the wind. A story that began with a disappearance and ended with a curse. It was a dare, whispered in the dead of night. A challenge to spend a night inside Crestwood High, to document the legend of Jason Avery. 5 friends, their youthful arrogance outweighing their fear, decided to tempt fate. They were amateur ghost hunters, armed with cameras and flashlights, their eyes bright with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They were about to become part of the legend themselves. They arrived at dusk, the setting sun casting long, eerie shadows across the overgrown lawn. The air grew colder as they approached the building, a sense of foreboding settling over them like a shroud. The lock on the front door, rusted and weak, yielded easily to their pressure. A low groan echoed through the building as if the school itself was drawing a breath after years of silence. The air inside was thick with dust and the smell of decay. It clung to their throats, choking back their laughter and replacing it with a nervous silence. They stepped inside, their footsteps echoing in the stillness. They were in the belly of the beast now, and the beast was waking up. Each creak of the floorboards beneath their feet, every rustle of wind through the broken windows, sent shivers down their spines. They moved cautiously through the darkened hallways, their flashlights cutting through the gloom like tiny beacons in a sea of darkness. The silence was almost unbearable, broken only by the frantic thumping of their own hearts. The old classrooms were frozen in time. Desks were scattered, textbooks lay open on the floor, as if the students had just vanished into thin air. The remnants of a forgotten lesson still lingered on the chalkboard. A chill ran down their spines. A sudden noise, a soft whisper, sent them spinning around. Their hearts pounded in their chests. But there was nothing there. Just the wind, someone offered, their voice trembling slightly. But the doubt lingered in their eyes. The darkness seemed to press in, suffocating, filled with unseen eyes. They found Jason Avery's locker, his name etched into the metal, a chilling reminder of the boy who was lost. Inside, his books remained untouched, his jacket still hanging on the hook. It was a time capsule of a life cut short, a tangible link to the mystery that had brought them here. As they ventured deeper into the school, the air grew heavy, charged with an unseen energy. The temperature dropped, sending a shiver down their spines. The darkness seemed to pulsate around them, alive with unseen energy. They felt a presence, watching them, following their every move. It was a feeling they couldn't shake, a growing sense of dread that settled deep in their stomachs. They were not alone. Section 5. The Spectre in the Library. The library was shrouded in an eerie silence. Dust motes danced in the pale moonlight filtering through the grimy windows. They could almost hear the echo of turning pages, the soft murmur of voices long silenced. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else. A faint metallic tang that made their stomachs churn. And then they saw him, a figure standing amongst the towering bookshelves. Tall, gaunt, with a mop of dark hair. He was facing away from them, his shoulders slumped as if carrying an impossible weight. "Jason!" one of them whispered, his voice barely audible. The figure turned slowly, and for a fleeting moment, they saw his face, or what was left of it. His skin was stretched taut over his skull, his eyes hollow sockets. His jaw hung open in a silent scream, revealing rows of decaying teeth. The stench of death washed over them, making them gag. Then, as quickly as he appeared, he was gone, vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the echo of their terror. They stood frozen, their blood turning to ice in their veins. The reality of their situation crashed down upon them. This was not a game. This was not a joke. They had stumbled into something dark, something ancient and evil, and it was just getting started. Section 6. Unmasking the Ritual. Panic threatened to consume them. They had to get out, escape the suffocating presence that clung to them like a shroud. But as they turned to flee, they stumbled upon something even more terrifying. A hidden door, concealed behind a bookshelf, stood ajar. Curiosity, or perhaps a morbid fascination, compelled them to investigate. The air grew heavy, thick with the stench of sulfur and decay. The narrow staircase creaked ominously beneath their feet, leading them down into the bowels of the school. The basement was a subterranean nightmare. Strange symbols, painted in what appeared to be blood, adorned the walls. Black candles flickered in the center of the room, casting grotesque shadows that danced and writhed like living things. In the center of the room lay a stone altar, stained a dark, rusty brown. Chains hung from the ceiling, their ends disappearing into the shadows. They could almost hear the echoes of screams, the desperate pleas for mercy that had once filled this cursed chamber. This was no ordinary basement. This was a place of sacrifice, a place of dark rituals and unspeakable horrors. They found Jason Avery's yearbook lying open on the altar, his photo defaced with a single chilling word scrawled across his smiling face: sacrifice. The truth began to dawn on them, cold and terrifying. Jason Avery hadn't just disappeared, he had been chosen. Section 7. Hunted by the Past. The air crackled with unseen energy, sending a shiver down their spines. They were not alone. The temperature plummeted, their breath forming frosty clouds in the air. A low growl echoed through the chamber, seeming to emanate from the very walls themselves. Something was hunting them. They ran, scrambling back up the stairs, their hearts pounding in their chests. The door slammed shut behind them, plunging them into darkness. They fumbled for the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. They were trapped. They could hear the heavy footsteps of their pursuer drawing closer, each thud a death knell to their hopes of escape. The library seemed to stretch endlessly before them, the bookshelves looming like menacing giants in the flickering light of their flashlights. They could hear the rasping breaths of their pursuer, feel its icy presence closing in. Their fear was a living thing now, driving them forward through the labyrinthine halls. The school, once a place of learning, was now a hunting ground. Their laughter and excitement were long gone, replaced by a primal fear that threatened to consume them. They were no longer ghost hunters but the hunted, running for their lives from a force they couldn't understand, couldn't fight. Section 8. The Curse of Crestwood. They burst out of the library, their lungs burning, their legs screaming for respite. But there was no time to rest. They could still hear the footsteps, heavy and relentless, echoing behind them. They had to find a way out, escape the clutches of this nightmare. They rounded a corner and came face to face with him, Jason Avery. But he wasn't the scared boy from the yearbook photo. He was a specter of rage and despair, his eyes burning with an unholy light. The air around him crackled with energy, the faint scent of ozone stinging their nostrils. He spoke, his voice a guttural growl that seemed to emanate from the depths of their nightmares. "You will join me," he hissed, his words echoing through the empty halls. "You will complete the ritual." They understood then. He wasn't seeking revenge, he was seeking release. The ritual had to be completed, the curse lifted, and they were the key. They backed away, their eyes wide with terror. They had stumbled upon a truth more horrifying than they could have ever imagined. Jason Avery wasn't the victim, he was the vessel, and the entity that possessed him was ancient, powerful, and hungry. Section 9. Escape from the nightmare. Driven by a surge of adrenaline, they scattered, their only hope to divide and conquer, to distract the vengeful spirit long enough to find an escape. The chase was on again, a terrifying game of cat and mouse through the darkened corridors of Crestwood High. Each of them experienced their own brush with terror, a glimpse of the spectral boy, a feeling of icy breath on their necks. Then, just as suddenly as it began, a blinding light filled the hallway. The air crackled with energy and the temperature soared. The floor vibrated beneath their feet. They shielded their eyes, their ears ringing from the sudden shift. When they dared to look again, they saw the front doors of the school burst open. They didn't hesitate. They ran towards the light, their fear propelling them forward. They didn't look back. The night air hit them like a slap, cold and fresh. They stumbled out onto the front lawn, gasping for breath, their chests heaving. They had escaped, but the experience had changed them. They had looked into the abyss, and the abyss had looked back. Section 10. The footage and the fear. Back in the safety of their homes, the events of the night played over and over in their minds. The laughter and bravado were gone, replaced by a chilling understanding of the darkness that lurked within the walls of Crestwood High. They had captured it all on camera, every terrifying moment. But what they saw on those tapes was more disturbing than anything they could have imagined. The footage was blurry, distorted, as if the camera itself was struggling to process the events unfolding before it. But there were glimpses, fleeting moments of clarity that sent shivers down their spines. The spectral figure of Jason Avery, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Strange symbols flashing across the screen, too fast for the human eye to process. And a sound, a low, guttural growl that seemed to vibrate deep within their bones. They erased the footage, desperate to forget the horrors they had witnessed. But some things are not so easily forgotten. The nightmares continued, plagued by images of the spectral boy, and the feeling of icy breath on their necks. They had escaped the school, but the school had not finished with them. The haunting of Crestwood High was far from over. Subscribe to Storyhaven for more chilling tales.